Hello and welcome to the Trading Post podcast, where we unlock the secrets of business-to-business trade, dive into powerful networking strategies, and share my exciting journey of using a podcast to market my business instead of relying on SEO. I'm your host, Trader Stu. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Trading Post podcast. I'm your host, Trader Stu. And it's been, I think a week or two anyway before I uploaded, but essentially, maybe not that long because I think I pre-recorded an episode. I don't even keep track anymore. You know, it's been a crazy ride lately with the kiddo and, you know, being a dad and all that good stuff. So that's priority of obviously, and this is it's not even a side hustle, man. It's just, I don't make any money on this. The only money I guess I made is the 20 tickets from the Renaissance Festival, and I don't even consider that money, you know. It's just, I gave those away. So, but that's beside the point. And I just I had some things on my mind I wanted to talk about, and some things that happened that I think are useful to the small business owners out there. Beyond locally, this is the national level, or international level, really, because, you know, everyone does the TV sponsors and ads, and so let's just get right into it. So today I kind of wanted to talk about how Detroit businesses can barter, but really anybody, and trade and scale without cash, and a couple talking points about, of course, gas prices and an ad spot that we've done. I wouldn't say it's an ad spot. So have you ever been... It's called We Love Detroit and LUV Detroit. And basically, Larry and Gigi are the hosts of the show. And they go around to local businesses. It's kind of like what I had an idea of doing a while back. And, you know, they interview them and talk about them and kind of spotlight them, I guess you could say. And what a perfect example of using trade to generate, hopefully, or potentially some cash revenue, at least some more brand recognition, even though we've been on since 1978. I'm finding the only people that really know about barter or trade or even heard of it is I say the older crowd, right? It's kind of like maybe even older than me. I'm 45, and it's really kind of a good old boy program, really, being in a trade association. And, you know, the whole point of me starting the podcast was to kind of start helping to get the word out there to the younger crowd. You know, I guess it'd be whoever's, 20s, 30s, maybe 40s are listening to podcasts. I think mostly 20, 30-year-olds. But, just to get that out there, because it's kind of a lost art, and I'm trying to bring it back, I guess you want to say, because all of our longtime members, of course, they're retiring, they're aging out, they're dying. And so I'm re-sparking the interest, and it's working. I get several new members per week, which is a lot of people. If you talk to any chamber of commerce or maybe like a BNI or LBN or whatever like that, that's, into networking, if you're in a per group situation, that's a lot of people, right? So I am bringing a lot of people in, but my problem is that I like to need to get outside of the east side of Detroit, which is where I live, which is easy, to bring people in because I see the businesses, I see them advertising, I get the flyers, I get the marketing things, and obviously if they're looking for business, boom, I'm going to give them a call and say, hey, I got business for you, dude. Or ma'am, usually dude, but anyway, this is beside the point. And normally they're into it, right? Why would you not? I make it a no-brainer deal. I'm very low pressure. I have it really is a no risk with very high upside potential proposal to where I don't make money until they do. So, and there's no contracts, obligations. So I'll waive the application fee, a year out sometimes if I have to bring them in and just show them, like, look, this works. Or maybe it doesn't work. Not every business is a winner, man. And sometimes it takes a bit of time to get spun up. But what I'm getting at is that we paid Larry in trade dollars. He's a member, of course. Been a member since the 80s. I think he said 30 years. So yeah, I call it 80s. Anyway, and so we paid him trade for the spot. And then it's going to air out on the TV at 10 o'clock on Sunday. And then also he generates a 30-second spot from the clip that I think is several minutes long or whatever. I think he does 3 or 4 spots per half hour. So maybe when you include commercials, so maybe 6 to 8 minutes is going to be the total spot length. I'm not even sure yet. So I haven't seen it. Obviously, it's not out aired. I think it airs this fall, to be honest with you. The only reason I say that is because I heard them talking in the other room when they were shooting the opener, and it said, "Hey, did you have a good summer?" So obviously it's going to be after summer. So that's the way Hollywood works, right? But I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see it, and I'm sure it'll be great that give us some brand name recognition. And I got a referral to talk to a lady I think is at Fox 2 News, it's our local station here in Detroit. And maybe get on a spot that they do for businesses, on there, and more brand recognition. So it's happening, man. We're getting her going. Again, re-sparking that interest since 78. And anyway, one thing I noticed when I ride into work is the price of gas. It's something that I don't really pay attention to, I guess. And I'm not saying I'm so wealthy. As a matter of fact, that the more people I see around here and that are wealthy, the more they complain about things like that. If you've ever been in a truly rich area, like real money. So I've lived in Rochester Hills, and that's actually where our office is, in Rochester Hills. And then there's Birmingham, which is down the road. And what else has Bloomfield, I think. And I don't know, there's a bunch of rich areas around this area. But anyway, if you've ever been around real, true money, like old money, this is like people whose, grandparents started, General Motors, or the Ford family, or it used to be called what was it? The something carriage company that turned into something else. I forgot what it was. They were building carriages, and I think it turned into Ford Motor Company or something like that. No. That Datsun? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But I'm talking about like generational wealth. They're usually very thrifty, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, they'll be in a big house that sits way back off and it's, thousands of square feet maybe. Or they might be driving the Bentleys around here, the Ferraris, the Porsches, the Lambos, I mean, you see them, obviously. It's true wealth. But they're usually not the ones carrying around Louis Vuittons. That's usually the people that are making payments on those Louis Vuittons. And I don't know, I'm kind of digressing here, but if you think you're rich and you're buying name brand stuff, you're probably not really all that rich. Because the rich folks watch their money and they invest it into things that usually often create more wealth. I don't know how much the resale value is in a Lambo, but it probably holds their value. They might lose 50 grand on it, but they paid $450 for it. So maybe they can sell for 400. I don't know. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not like, that much money to them. Anyway, gas money. It's been a while since I've talked, so I'm going off some tangents here, but it's over $4.19 a gallon. I think it's $4.29 here today, April 8th, and it's double what it was last summer. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, I heard it on the radio this morning. It's temporary, or the markets are predicting that's temporarily." And that's great if it's temporary, and it probably is. I mean, nothing lasts forever, right? But to the contractors that are, landscaping, I'm looking at one right now out my window right now. They're running a leaf blower and, a vacuum, and they got the truck and a trailer, and, they got some money cranking out there and fuel costs. This is the time they're using gas, not in the winter. So this is going to be a huge hit on folks of that nature and business, that this is permanent to them, right? I mean, permanent as an effect of like, okay, yeah, if it ends in August or September, that's basically it for their season in Michigan. They've only got 3 or 4 months to make money. They got spring cleanup. You got the lawn mowing season, which really doesn't start until May around here. That's when the grass really starts growing. And then you got June, July, August. And then even July and August, unless you got a contract where you're mowing no matter what, like once a week or once every other week, because that's what the contract says. I don't mow my lawn all summer long. Like, I don't mow it in July and August a lot of times because it doesn't rain. And I sure as heck don't run sprinklers to make it harder on myself because I don't care about grass. I'm not in the business of growing grass. I want to grow, vegetables or corn or whatever, right? So potatoes, things of that nature. That's my idea this summer anyways, is to take out half my backyard and try and get something going and beat the woodchucks and the birds. I have not been really all that successful in growing a garden. I don't know how people do it. I guess you have to live outside the suburbs or put up a fence. I'm not doing that either. But for me, I basically just end up feeding the wildlife. So when I get a garden, I see a lot more wildlife in my backyard because I'm feeding these little buggers. But hopefully I can grow enough eventually to offset that. And I can't even shoot them with a pellet gun because that's not legal in my area. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out some anti-vermin things in the garden, things that spin, or I don't know. But anyway, back to gas. So for them, it's permanent. So if the gases spike overnight, is basically what it did. I paid $3.54 a gallon for it yesterday. Now it's $4.29, and I did get 50 cents off a gallon, so it was was that 89? I think. Anyway, so yeah, no, $3.99. So it went up 30 cents. So what you can control other things though, is what I'm getting at if the gas prices go up. And so, the barter industry is quietly having a comeback here now in 2026. And the economy gets bad or rough, that's when the economy comes around, or a barter economy, I should say. So this business launched in 78. Of course, 78 or 70s was the oil embargo. I was born in 81, and that's when mortgages were 19 and a half, 21% interest rates, which is freaking crazy, dude. Which is crazy. I could not imagine my house payment at 20%. I don't even know what that would be. Oh my God. What would that be? I'm gonna do that right now, as a matter of fact, with you guys on the horn here. I'm gonna pull it up. I don't even care. I'll keep talking, but you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna do this right now. Payment. You know what's rough about Copilot is that when you bring it up, it delays pretty hard, man. I miss my Perplexity, but I'm just not paying for it when I get Copilot for free because of, Microsoft 360. And I had it on my own personal level, but I use the offices now. 20%. Let's see what this is. Anyway, let's let that generate and calculate. So did you know that the bartering platform crossed $600 million in 26, and it's growing annually? So we're closing out on $1 trillion per year market that if you're not in on it, you're missing out, man. So it's not old school, that's for sure. And now you got the digital. Back in the day, the boss's Lois, the chief operating officer, said that she would do everything manually by ledger, by like paper, and print out remember the old black and white striped paper with the holes in the sides? That's how they would roll, man, back in the day. So barter turns dead space into buying power, that's for sure. And let's see I'm just kind of reading here. So this is based on a down payment, blah, blah, 30 years. It wouldn't even give me it. What? Interest rate. Yeah. I said that. Ugh, this thing. Let's try it again. Here we go. It would be, I know we're way past, holy cow, $4,000 a month. That's rough. Anyway, yeah, that's a lot. It's actually, I thought it'd be a lot worse than that, but it's still unattainable. Oh, man. So a couple of things I want to talk about too with the economy around here. We run on relationships, hustle, and mutual support. So the We Love Detroit thing is perfect example of community first economics. And I'm trying to get into, I have an idea for networking that I don't know, it might work. It might work. I'm not going to talk about it because it's an original idea, and I'm going to try it first and see what happens, but maybe. And if you guys aren't not networking, by the way, and you're opening a business, have opened a business, or are dying for business, get out there and network. We just went into the Southeast Michigan Chamber, been members with the Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce for a while now. They're great. They have these things in there called PCN groups, which I was a member of for a while. But then, the thing with my type of business is that once people sign up, I'm already automatically referring you business. So I don't got to go to a meeting to do that. And that's the other benefit of joining a trade group like ours, is that once you're in it, you're kind of like you're doing a chamber, so to speak, without having to go to meetings. Your meetings are going out to buy things, So anyway, what else I want to talk about here? Pretty much that's it. I want to just talk about that, the gas prices, how you can offset it. These guys out there this summer can get some additional business on trade and offset their costs for, the lawn mowing gas and things of that nature, preserving the cash. And then the economy in Detroit isn't unlike any other areas and, economies in the areas, in your area, whatever. And that's it. I want to just talk about those few things and get her done. All right. Whatever you guys do out there, be good or be good at it. Bye.